We're live. Welcome to this Monday's edition of Sideline to Baseline with your fill-in co-host Pac Jam and Double A. And we're going to start it off with He's a Problem. Take it away, Pac Jam.
Hey, last night, man, again, we talked about the Knicks, man, the resurgence of the New York Knicks, man. The lights are finally on in Madison Square Garden, man. I hate the fact that we couldn't get a sold-out crowd in that thing in that thing yesterday, man. But Tim Thibodeau is doing big things for the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? He has resurrected that situation. And we got to start off with Julius Randle, Kentucky's own, man. Julius Randle, all-star this season, man. He has been on a tear. That was a great matchup. Julius Randle versus Zion the Monster out of Duke University. And I'm telling you, it lived up to the hype. They went at it yesterday, man. And Julius dropped 44, man. He dropped a 44-piece spicy Wayne, man, with 7 biscuits, man, and 10 sides and 1 block, man. He did his thing last night. Julius Randle was serving last night, man. He was serving that Popeye's chicken last night, man. And again, kudos to Tim Thibodeau, man. Finding ways to get guys to fit into his system, to buy in. And Julius Randle, to me, he definitely deserves Most Improved Player of the Year this year in the NBA, man. And he served Julius Randle all night long yesterday.
I can't even remember the last time a New York Knickerbocker had 44 points like that.
You got to go back to the Melo days.
Yeah, it has to be that long.
Got to go back to the Melo days, man.
He's still playing, old man Melo.
Yeah, still playing.
Yeah. Well, right down the road on South on I-95, Russell Westbrook went and had himself a nice night too. Yeah, he wound up with 36, 9, and 15 rebounds, showing he still got it left in the tank.
Absolutely, man. I just hate to see him playing in meaningless games, because to me that's what those games are with the Wizards, man. I mean, they spent all season trying to find takers for Westbrook as well as Bradley Beal, and it's just a wasted season, man, to see that talent like that, man, not be utilized on a playoff contending team, man.
Do the Wizards even have a chance to play into that 7 through 10? They're not even
at all. They're bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel, man. And speaking of another problem, there was 2 problems being served, man, on Saturday night, man. There was a battle for the ages, man, up there in TD Garden, man. And that was between Jason Tatum and Steph Curry. Steph Curry has been on a tear, but Jason Tatum, one of the young disciples of the late Kobe Bean Bryant, Jason Tatum really did his thing. He was another one. He served 44-piece spice Wayne, man. All spicy, man. He did it again with 44 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. Jason Tatum, to me, is one of the guys that's under 25 in today's NBA, man, that has a complete game, both offensively and defensively. He lives up to the billing each and every night. I just hate to see it not work. As far as, I don't know what the problem is with Brad Stevens, but it's not working like it should. But Jason Tatum is the real deal, man, and he's a problem.
I think he's going to have a chance with this Eastern Conference playoffs coming up. I think it's up for grab. The only team that looks consistent is Philly. Not even the Bucks look like they have the same consistency as the Sixers. So I think whoever gets hot is going to make a run, because there ain't no one walk away in the East right now. That's for sure.
Not at all.
All right. No. So who else? So that was down. You had Steph Curry going off like he found the fountain of youth. And then it's baseball season.
That's right.
Not that I'm the biggest baseball fan, but there's this guy, Justin Bieber, throwing pitches for the Cleveland Indians, who's breaking records that haven't happened since 1893. So over 128 years. This guy has got 4 straight starts with 10+ strikeouts, matching the great rarefied air of someone like Nolan Ryan. Whenever you put your name next to someone like that, you're doing good things. So it's good to see that Major League Baseball season's gotten off to a good start, and hopefully the boys of summer give us something to watch this summer, because we could sure use watching some sports rather than watching what's on the news every day.
Absolutely.
So.
And speaking of another problem, man, which we could segue right into college football a little bit, man. We could dive on in, man. And when you mention college football, man, there's no other place in town that you want to stop by than Tuscaloosa, T-Town, baby, because we got another one. Right when you thought we was over, right when you thought it was over, right when you thought Tech Tour was done, and you thought Matt Jones was done, you thought Jalen Hurt. Well, guess what? Nick Saban has dialed up another one. He has another sensation by the name of Bryce Young, must see TV. He had 333 yards on 25 for 44 yards passing. And we had A-Day. A-Day was Saturday, people. And for those that don't know, A-Day is big time in Alabama. That's when we have ones against ones. We're not like most programs, ones versus twos and watered down. Nick Saban had on a pink suit on the
Wow.
sideline to let you know, baby. Pink suit after Easter, that is. He had a pink suit on after Easter, baby. And once again, we lived up to the hype. Bryce Young was nothing but the truth, man. We got some nice sensations down there, man. And he did this thing on 25 for 44, man, with 333 yards. And speaking of college football, this is a new year for a lot of programs with a lot of new guys controlling the steering wheel. And that's Ohio State, that's Clemson, that's Notre Dame, University of Florida, Texas A&M. So this is the season to find out which new guy can get the keys to the car and continue to drive on the highways without crashing out, man. And right now, we would like to say that Bryce Young has an early start and showing us that he's saying, Nick Saban, coach, I got it. You know what I mean? I know how to drive this. I know this is a Ferrari. I know how to drive this thing, coach. And he has the head start. So looking forward to seeing what these guys are doing, man. These new guys who are, stepping into the position.
What's nice is that this will be the first year coming off a crazy COVID year that they've had a real spring practice
Right,
that they'll
right,
have all
absolutely.
summer to evaluate and to start the
Absolutely.
fall like the way things should be, which is the fall begins with football. F is for
Right,
football. So
right.
the question is for MB's team and for my team down south at the end of I-95 is who'll be
Mm-hmm.
lining up to play against this Bryce Young, because I don't know if Miami's got a shot in the world, but they've got a few choices down there as well, as with a quarterback coming back off ACL, or two young guys that look like I watched a little bit of the spring ball. They actually look like they can throw the rock like the old days.
So who do you think has the lead right now as far as quarterbacking for the Miami University?
I think they're going to start the vet, but I feel bad for him because having to coming off ACL injury against an Alabama defense, that's not fair on anybody.
He didn't play in the spring, right?
He hadn't played in the spring. He didn't even play in the last bowl game. He went out in that last game.
So you mean to tell me he's going to go all off season, no action, and he's going to come out there and line it up in September?
Against Bama.
I would, again, the last Florida team outside of Florida Gators that lined up against Bama in Atlanta was Florida State, and they've never recovered since that game.
Right.
As a matter of fact, their starting quarterback suffered an ACL injury in that game. Francois, if you remember, DeAndre Francois suffered an ACL tear in that game, and his career was no longer the same. As a matter of fact, he never started again for Florida State, if you remember that correctly.
That's right, because he got off to a great hot start, then tore up his knee, and they brought him back for that Bama game, and that was it.
And that was the last time that the season opened up with a number 1 versus number 2 matchup, because at that time, Florida State was ranked number 2 in the nation. And that was the first time it was a preseason kickoff that number 1 opened up against the number 2. And they wasn't the same. I just feel for I posted something on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen what I posted about the running backs. And I said, I thought somebody said University of Miami was running back university. And I said, don't use a guy from the 2000s. I said, because the running backs from the 2000s, Frank Gore, Edgar James, Willie McGahee, and Clinton Porters, they remind me of grandma's furniture. And my grandmother has plastic on her furniture. And what that signifies is antique.
Yeah, that's
so
20 years ago.
Right, when you talk about the running backs of Miami, it's antique, because I just still think that when you think about the U, you think about certain positions jump out at you. And when you look at the program since that 2000 era, there hasn't been a playmaking running back, a guy that you can give it to and he's going to make it happen. You know what I mean? You know those kind of running backs that if the line ain't blocking, he still gets 4 yards?
Yeah, they were once in a lifetime, and you haven't seen that kind of backfield since 20 years ago. I mean, there's maybe been a bright spot here or there, but nobody that had any sustaining power. Not like what you're seeing Alabama. Alabama's 5 deep. It don't matter who you put back there. Someone's going to take it to the house anytime they get it if there's a lane.
And so that's what I'm looking at. That's what I was thinking, about with that matchup. Who's running the ball for Miami? Who's the guy that's? I know you guys are high on the transfer. You got from Oklahoma, the wide receiver.
They got Rambo, yeah.
Rambo. But again, who's throwing it and who's running it? You know what I mean?
They got either a true freshman Garcia or this kid Tyler Van Dyke, and they look good going against each other, but back in the old days when MB was around, the offense never looked good because the defense would dominate. Right. And I didn't see that for the little bit of the scrimmage that I've seen. I see them playing 7-on-7s for as best I can tell because nobody wants to get hurt.
Is this the year that Oklahoma returns? Is this the year? They got a court. Oklahoma has a defense returning, the offense returning. Is this the year that Oklahoma can get it right?
You never know. It's a free game. Everybody's had an entire year of a weird coming off a COVID-20 season. You now have a real spring practice. You've got everyone there. Everyone's in spring. Everyone's going to be vaccinated. So there are no excuses anymore.
But the reason why I say Oklahoma, they're one of the few teams who return their quarterback. They're one of the few teams that return a lot of returnees on both sides of the ball. That's why I said, will this be the year that Oklahoma can make it come together and make it to the playoff, and not only make it to the playoff, but get to the money game, because we haven't seen them in the money game since Sam Bradford.
Well, you got to remember that they're not like A&M. They ain't playing in the SEC, so that and anybody that's not in the SEC has got a chance to run the table if they got returning starters and returning veterans and they're healthy, and a quarterback who's got experience. So this could be the year for Oklahoma to get back on the national stage. But those SEC teams, you don't want to match up with them no matter who you are.
So tell me, and we're gonna segue. We're talking quarterbacks. Segue to one of the top quarterbacks come out of college this year, if not the top quarterback come out of college this year. A guy that I can't remember the last time we had a guy who's coming out of college, who's the number one clear-cut guy, and there has not been one negative thing pertaining to on the field play. This is I can't remember the last time. I probably would have to say Andrew Luck, probably, if I had to just reach in my memory a little bit. But the comments that Trevor Lawrence said in the Sports Illustrated interview about that, about his dad said that he doesn't play for trophies. And he said football is not the end all be all. And my thing is, the reason why those comments are jumped out at me, because one, if any quarterback outside of Trevor Lawrence would have said that, they won't get drafted. Number one.
That's true.
Number two, you're getting drafted by a coach who is so all in, he almost died twice.
He might die a third time in Jacksonville. It might be a short tenure.
This guy here knows only one way, and that's Mr. Urban Meyer, who goes so hard that his health, he almost blew his heart up twice. So to me, it's like, how is this marriage going to work with a quarterback on record and his dad, who knows him better than anybody, on record saying football is not a big deal to us. We love it. We like it, but it's not the end all be all.
I can't imagine being a first-year head coach in the NFL with his background that he had from coming from the NCAA, with a quarterback who's a little laissez-faire, sort of got that West Coast attitude. I remember back in the day when getting drafted, you had a choice of Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. And side by side coming out of college, ain't nobody in the world that could tell me they thought Ryan Leaf was going to be a bust. He had a bigger arm, a stronger arm. And Peyton, when you saw him throw, he didn't throw like this kid. And to this day, you had to pick what was from the neck on up. And Trevor Lawrence has had it good for 4 years at Clemson, but has he really had the competition? Has he faced NFL competition? Come week 1 when he gets his head knocked off, will he be singing the same song? I think proof will be in the pudding, and you're going to find out real soon.
But that's it, Double A. He said football's not a big deal though. So that's what I want. That's what I'm discussing. He's saying it's not big. It's not a big deal. So basically he's saying, because remember, he's on the cover with a pair of jeans, no shoes, a flannel shirt, laying back, hair blowing in the wind, and he's like, it's no big deal.
It's no big deal when you get paid, but when those other guys on your team want to win and they want to get paid too.
But that's what this is what I want to bring out right here at Double A, is he's going a franchise, the Jaguars, who are thirsty like the Sahara Desert for the next big thing. All right. They're all in on Trevor, but they ain't won since Ponce Leon discovered Florida. And here it is. The guy that they want says, it's not a big deal. He said, you win, you lose. I don't play for the Super Bowl. I don't chase trophies. Is that the guy that you really want?
I think Urban Meyer will have a shorter career in the NFL than Steve Spurrier did with the Redskins. I think he's going to find out it really is not for long, and this is a whole different ball wax that he's gotten himself into. And if he doesn't have the guts to pull the string on the quarterback that he thinks that could get him there, the guy that is slipping, the Justin Fields, where we don't understand why he's slipping on these people's draft boards. And I was looking at the draft boards. You got New England. This guy somehow slips to 15. You think Belichick's going to let this guy get by him?
But see, you just said something, Double A. You said quarterbacks are drafted from the neck up. Right? So, when I watched Clemson play Ohio State, I watched a guy sustain 3.5 cracked ribs. I watched the guy says, I'm not coming out. You ain't gonna take me out. I'm gonna die here tonight. Because I want this game, because last year the same two teams played Double A.
He got the better of them.
He said all summer I wanted them. Yep. And he looked at his coach. He said, I'm not coming out, coach. I'm gonna die here tonight. He went out there and he heroically won that game for his team. So much so he didn't have nothing left in the tank for Alabama the following weekend. But he laid it on the line that particular night. And you mean to tell me, Double A, that tonight we discussed that he, out of all quarterbacks, is dropping like the stock market during the Depression?
Don't make sense.
Please explain to me why is this going on.
I don't know. I'm not head of personnel at these teams, but something flagged him. And you know how rumors run wild. You can remember what happened to Warren Sapp. Remember what happened to Marino. Marino was the 5th quarterback taken that year.
But my question is, they're using things like, when I hear Mel Kiper and I hear guys like Todd Lachey, they're only saying that, he waits. That they said they used a stat on Justin Fields. They said 92% of his passes goes to the first read.
If he's open.
Right. They said it was the highest percentile in the history since they've been taking that stat. But my thing is this. It's just strange to me how we pick and choose verbiage, because they told me you got to get this guy because he's a winner. Well, that's what Justin Fields has always been. Isn't that what you want?
And if your first receiver is open, that's who you throw to. At Ohio State, he was open.
Now, remember this, Double A. This is the same thing happened years back, 3 years ago, when they decided to take Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. Unheard. All of a sudden, he flew up to the top of the draft board, and you overlooked Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. And last I checked, where's Mitch Trubisky?
He's sitting on the bench, I believe, behind the redheaded gunslinger from Cincinnati old days.
You see, but and that's the thing. So at the end of the day, it's like finding guys that can win because out the BYU guy who's everybody crazy about, what has he done this season?
He did it in out west and against nobody, as far as I'm concerned.
He came out east to play Coastal Carolina and couldn't beat Coastal Carolina. Remember that game? We'll play you anywhere, and they flew over there last minute to play them.
Clarify that. That wasn't North Carolina. That wasn't NC State. That was Coastal
Coastal
Carolina.
Carolina. And on top of that, today I was looking, and they said he's had 2 major surgeries: shoulder and his wrist. And they're talking him going number 2 to the Jets.
The
So
Jets,
it's just,
the Jets are cursed. They'll never get it right.
and that's what I'm just saying. Like what is it about? I mean, and I hate to say it, but this the elephant in the room is every year the black quarterback drops in the draft. Because prior to the draft, you told me that Justin Fields was the number 2 clear-cut guy behind him. And you said the number 3 guy was out of North Dakota State. Now those 2 guys are at the bottom. BYU, he's shot to the top of the draft. You know, Kellen Monk fell to the bottom. It's another kid I'm missing that's been
who the 49ers looking at? They got hot on somebody because they traded all the way up to that number 3 spot, right?
Right. I'm trying to think of this other guy. I just read about this other kid that's out there that they're talking about as well. And it's just hilarious to me because I'm like, where these guys been at?
Listen, you know how it goes with the NFL. They measure them every which way.
49ers will hire Matt Jones.
That's who they want. They want Matt Jones, which doesn't make sense. You would think they would want Fields.
But the thing about Matt Jones, and I love he's a Bama guy, but Matt Jones, the only thing he's ever drove was a brand new car. All he's ever had was a road. All he's ever drove in his life was a Bentley.
Yeah, that don't work in the NFL.
He's never driven anything else but a Bentley.
Maybe it's all subterfuge, and the 49ers really want Fields, and they're all bad mouthing, and when the day comes in a couple of weeks or at the end of this week when they draft, maybe right. He goes a lot higher, and maybe that's what this is all about. I have no idea anymore. I know they moved all the way up to number 3 because they knew something wasn't going to be there past 3.
Right.
But I know this.
Belichick can take Garoppolo back right now.
Yeah. Would love him.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Garoppolo got hurt and, tried to come back on a team that wasn't what it was when he first got there. And, Garoppolo's better. He's better than most, but, all New England needs is a caretaker.
Well, if we really be honest about San Fran, and I know that everyone's high on Shanahan and they're saying that he's one of the guru OCs. He reinvented the wheel and I know they're high on these young OCs.
Yep.
But if we be honest about it, the reason San Fran didn't win last year had nothing to do with Garoppolo. The reason San Fran wasn't winning was because that defensive line wasn't the same.
Yeah, they weren't shutting people down like they used to before.
If you go back to the Super Bowl season, that front four
was nasty.
Was terrorizing the entire NFL. No quarterback could stand in a phone booth. Okay. Last year they sustained the Bosa went out with an ACL tear. They lost 2 interior linemen, and all of a sudden the defense was getting gashed.
And then your linebackers don't look that good. Then your safeties are a step slower. Second that D line goes down, everyone else falls off.
Right. Now all of a sudden Richard Sherman is looking like the reason why Seattle got rid of him, because there's no pressure on the front 4. So he can't guard anybody. And that's what happened last year with 49ers. And because of that, all of the pressure was on Jimmy Garoppolo, to produce Aaron Rodgers type Knicks every week in and week out, and he's not that kind of quarterback.
There's only one Aaron Rodgers.
Right. But that's what they needed out of him, and he's not built like that. But Shanahan put it on him when we really knew what it was. The defensive line was missing.
I think it'll be interesting to see what Jameis does in New Orleans with Sean Payton. He might have a whole new life there with that kind of offense coordinator.
I keep telling people, anybody want to listen,
you gotta put up numbers.
That, to me, there's only two guys who I've always said are masterminds and when it comes to offense, and that's Andy Reid and Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Sean Payton should have got half of that contract Romo had, because Sean Payton was the one that discovered Tony Romo. Okay, when he was OC under Parcells.
Can you imagine if Jerry Jones would have held on to Sean Payton?
Right.
What a bad move that was.
Right. Tony Romo didn't become a problem until Sean Payton left, and then that's when you seen it was what was that he was the ventriloquist. He had his hands in his back. Sean Payton's going to do big things with Jameis Winston.
Drew Brees was nobody until he found Peyton. I mean, that's a fact of life. In coming off shoulder surgery, he turned him into something that you ain't seen before.
And he's gonna, and I know he's gonna do that with Jameis. He's gonna do that with Jameis. I just think Jameis had a bad deal with Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is a gunslinger, and he doesn't really take care of the football like that. And he's not really known to be a quarterback whisperer.
No.
If you remember, we be honest, the first month or so, him and Brady got it. They clashed the first month of the season.
I never thought Jameis should have gone 1 overall to Tampa Bay. I think that put too much pressure on him to begin with. I thought he would have been better off going to a team with an established team, not being the savior. I think he threw it too much, and then when you feel like you got to throw it, you turn into Vinny Testaverde, and you're throwing a lot of touchdowns and a lot of interceptions.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think he resurrected his career with Sean Payton. Sean Payton's a quarterback whisperer, so I believe they're going to do real good over there. I really do. If
I'm Justin Fields and I don't get the respect and I don't get picked where I'm at, if I wind up with Bill Belichick in the 15th overall pick, I'm the happiest person in the world, because as pissed off as Marino was all those years ago, he wound up with Don Shula, and look what happened for him. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he took off for the rest of the next 10 years.
And I agree with that, because a lot of times, yourself, a lot of times it's about where I land at versus anything else. I know everybody want to get paid. You want to get to the top of the draft, because you want to get that money. But sometimes, like they say, all money ain't good money. You go to the right team, the right fit, and you end up making that money back, and then your career takes off. Because, again, Patrick Mahomes going to Kansas City, who's to say? I mean, we know he's a phenomenal talent, but who's to say he wouldn't be beat up like a battered ram had he went to Chicago?
You better believe it. You'll never know.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at that. You got
to get put in the right place in the right situation.
Absolutely.
So as far as I'm coming back full circle to where we started with this conversation with Trevor Lawrence, hey, if he's not all in the NFL and he's going to go to the first overall pick and he's going to get beat up like a rag doll, he might not be long for this league either. This ain't the ACCC where there was one dominant team for the last 10 years. The ACC wasn't the SEC.
And with him comments, and he's been saying, who's to say that he might say, hey, man, this ain't what I really want. I'm out of here. Because he said it ain't. He said football ain't end all be all. I don't play for the Super Bowl. I don't play for that. It's not a big deal. It's like, I don't play for trophies. It's really not a big deal. So if he has that type of mentality, that shows you that he's not a lifer, that he has other interests.
Listen, look where the GOAT went. He went in the 5th or 6th round, Brady? And he has that chip on his shoulder to this day, and he always will.
Right.
He couldn't beat out Brian Griese at Michigan. Brian Griese won a national championship. That's the last starting quarterback to beat out Brady, if you think about it.
Right, absolutely. Well, yeah, you're right, because Bledsoe already had the job, so I really can't say Bledsoe beat him out. He already had the job.
Yeah, Bledsoe went out to injury. That was opportunity. He took that opportunity and never and said bye Bledsoe. You're gone.
Right, you're right. He did, which I thought a lot more played into that. I thought that was a money thing more so than anything, because remember at the time Bledsoe had just became one of the first $100 million quarterbacks.
Oh, they paid
So
him, but he won a lot.
I thought too, I said, Belichick is looking at it like, hey, if I got this guy into this deal, I ain't paying him nothing. I got the number one defense. Because see, that's another thing. They had the number one defense at that time.
Yeah. All he
So
was
Belichick's like, listen, I don't really need Bledsoe like this. I got the number one defense in the league. I can play ground pound game management football, and that's what he did.
And this kid went off and he run off like 11 games.
Right, because
you don't pull out
at that time, Brady was only throwing for like 150 yards a game, if that.
Right.
At that time. Because, like I said, their defense was like, Rosette Colvin, man, they had Willie McGinnis. I mean, you name it. Ty Law, you know what I mean?
That was before Seau. I don't even think Seau was on that first-year team. I think he came a year or two later.
No, that time it was Roosevelt Colvin. Yeah. It was Willie McGinnis. It was Ty Law. It was
who was your safety?
It was Malloy. It was Malloy back there in the secondary. Yeah. I mean, man, listen, that was even before Rodney Harrison.
Yeah, he didn't come that first year. He came after.
Yeah, they was number one at that time with that defense I was just naming. They was they didn't, man, listen, they was roughhousing. So I didn't think, I just felt Belichick, because Belichick, remember, he still had that Parcells mind. Defense.
And if you remember, Bledsoe sat on the bench the second year. He knew it. He said, this kid won the Super Bowl. It's his team. And, he never got back on that team. Did Bledsoe get traded, or I forget what they did with him?
I think they ended up cutting Bledsoe.
Wow.
I mean, because Belichick came from a team that won the Super Bowl with Hostetler.
That's right.
Right. So he knows that I don't need to have nothing off the showroom floor. If I get my defense to play, and that's why I have a lot of confidence in the return of the New England Patriots for this upcoming season, because they returned so many guys back then. They led the league with those players on the COVID list. They returned all those players back, and he went and rebuilt that defense. Got guys. I look for them to be back. I really do. I look for them. I even say they win that division. I'm not sold on Buffalo. I'm not.
Sure as hell ain't sold on the Dolphins. I still don't know who they are.
Because what I'm looking at with Buffalo is, you was that last year, but sustainability. And that's what I give Belichick over anybody.
He'll make the adjustments.
Because Belichick knows how to keep you in that mindset that you got to do better than what you did. You got to give me more. Even off a Super Bowl, you got to give me more. You know what I'm saying?
That's why if I'm Justin Fields, the more I drop, the happier I am. I'm going to a better team, a better situation.
I would love to see him with Belichick.
I mean, I would not be upset. I don't know if you watched. Have you seen on the NBA network that they did that documentary on the best of the '96 NBA draft class, the Kobe year with AI,
right?
And how John Wallace was in the green room and he kept dropping. Well, look where he wound up. He wound up with the Knicks. Now, John Wallace, was he ever the NBA pro that he thought he was going to be? No, he went where he
no.
But he had a nice serviceable career as a New York Knick. And he's a Knick for life. He don't ever have to buy dinner in that town again.
Right. Syracuse Orangeman.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. New Yorker. Exactly. As we segue into the NBA, man, what do you think about all of the injuries right now in the NBA? Do you think it's going to affect the playoff scope?
I think the NBA playoffs is going to be this year's version of March Madness. I think it's a free-for-all. I think whoever's healthier and whoever's put together, I mean, these teams are still playing with different starting lineups, and we're 15 games to go in the regular season. They still don't have their set rotations. You don't know who's playing on any given night right now. So
absolutely.
I think the when I look out west and I Denver just lost Ronald Murray. You see Phoenix, you see Portland. I think they're going to give people problems, especially if the Lakers aren't healthy. And then you look at the East. The Sixers are healthy. They've kept that team together. Milwaukee's kept their team together. Everyone else they're still trying to figure out a lineup to put on the floor. So if Jason Tatum in Boston gets on a run here, who's to say?
I still have Milwaukee. I do. And the reason why, I'm going to tell you why I have Milwaukee out of the East, because to me, Milwaukee has the size and the athleticism with the size to go against Embiid because the Greek freak can foul Embiid out.
In a 7-game series, I see Milwaukee beating Philadelphia and figuring it out. I
And I
don't, you know,
go ahead.
I think Philly had a great regular season, but I think when you get in the playoffs and you're talking 5-game series, 6-game series, 7, and you start figuring each other out, I think Milwaukee is the elite team right now. I think you're absolutely right.
I
I
like
agree.
Milwaukee because they have what I just said, size and athleticism with the size. And the reason why I like Milwaukee over Brooklyn is because Brooklyn does not play great defense. Brooklyn to me, Brooklyn wants to just outscore you.
That's not playoff basketball in the East, especially.
And exactly, that's not playoff basketball. You got to be able to stop somebody.
That's why the Heat did what they did last year. They were together. They were young. They went on a run. They played D. And you get into a 5-6 game series, they're going to wear you down.
And
Not this.
not just that, even yesterday, even though Kevin Durant wasn't playing, to me, that game says a lot about Brooklyn. I'm going to tell you why. Brooklyn was up 7 points, but just coming down shooting the ball fast like they was down 7.
Where was Kyrie when that game mattered in the end?
He just kept gunning. He wouldn't, and that's what I'm saying. They wasn't playing with like, let me hold the ball, let me run the shot clock out. We're winning by 7. It's only less than 2 minutes left to go in the game. Miami was down.
They were out. They had no
It
business
was
being
out.
back.
Kyrie came down 3 straight times and just threw up a shot. Miami went down and scored 3 straight times.
Maybe Kyrie had the over-under.
Maybe so. But again, like I said, it's like, to me, Brooklyn does not play the right way, especially like they're just out there to outscore you. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're always looking toward. And so I don't see that. To me, and I know they got some superstars on that team, but I just don't see them in a 7-game series beating a Milwaukee Buck type team, a team that you're going to have to get defensive stops against.
That's why I like Milwaukee. That's why I like Philly. These are teams that have been together all year. They haven't changed up their lineups. They've got their rotation set. They're ready for the playoffs. These teams that are still trying to figure out who they are, who's healthy, that's not the way you want to go into the NBA playoffs. Mm-hmm. You know, you maybe can get, you can get like Boston late at the year and figure your stuff out. And someone like Tatum says, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to take over. You can make a run in the playoffs. That I see happening. But these other teams in the East, that Heat team is a mess. Jimmy Butler called them out. He don't even show up for that game yesterday.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. But see, that was a veteran move. He called the whole team soft. Yeah. He told Bam, he said, Bam, you need to get back playing aggressive. But what did Bam do yesterday? Bam got back to being aggressive.
And won his first buzzer beater, That
was a great veteran move by Jimmy. Calling the team out. You guys ain't playing Heat basketball. And to me, that's what that was. I still think Miami Heat is a scary matchup for anybody in the playoffs in that East.
Because they play tough dog D when they get down to it.
They're a team that plays hard they're built like the old Knicks. They're going to play hard every night. They're going to give you a tough out every night. And they're not going to let nothing come easy.
That's Pat Riley DNA going back to those old Knicks teams.
And a team like the Heat will be a horrible matchup for Brooklyn early in the playoffs because they don't want to have to grind. And with Miami, you're going to have to grind. It reminds me of that Indiana Pacer team when the Heatles was together, when LeBron and the Big Three was together, and how although Indiana didn't have the big time players like the Miami Heat did at that time, but they played so hard. Nate McMillan had them playing so hard. They was grinding. It was a grind for the Heat. You know what I mean?
So who was on that Indiana team? That was Paul George. Who?
You had your boy, Mr. Whisper in your ear, whisper in LeBron's ear. Lance Stevenson, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Lance.
Forgot about him.
It was a mass unit. Now, it wasn't nothing that you could write home about. It was just a bunch of guys, you had Tyler Hansborough, remember?
Yep.
It was just a bunch of guys off the back alley, man. You know what I'm saying? And
they had some guards. I can't remember who was the guards on.
They had oh man, got to be more careful. Who was on that team? Oh, man.
Jalen wasn't still around in those years,
No,
was he?
no, 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 no. No, 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 no.
It was,
No, it wasn't. It wasn't him.
we could look it up later. It's no big
But
deal.
like I said, it was one of those teams like the Miami Heat. They was a grinding team. The very thing the Miami Heat is right now. You
Yeah.
know.
MB said Frank was the head coach and he stressed defense. That's for sure. That team was, they knew how to play D. Let's segue over to the West and your brother's Lakers. Are they
Listen,
they're going to get it together?
you know what? I feel the Lakers do have it together, and I must tell you why. Number one, when LeBron and AD went down, the Lakers have begun they've been a lot of production from that next unit. Schroeder had 25 the other night. Andre Drummond had 26 the other night. Harrell's been putting up big numbers. So to me, that was the blessing in all of this because now even Kuzma's been putting up big numbers. So all of the supporting cast has stepped up. And then Schroeder said the other night, he said when AD and LeBron come back, it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
Because he's looking at how much those guys, as Shaq says, the others have stepped up.
I think this seeing AD and LeBron with Drummond, to see the three of them in that front line, you ain't getting anything by that. That's a big boy line.
And let's be honest. I just really believe that AD had a little tweak, but I believe a lot of that was just let's rest him.
It's probably smart.
Let's rest him.
You know what he's going to do.
You know what I mean? LeBron's to me he's the polar opposite because he's the Iron Man. LeBron likes to play every night. That's just him. Let me get out there and get it. You know what I mean? He has that football mentality. Let me get out there and get it. But I still say the Lakers, it starts and finishes with them in the NBA playoffs.
Wow.
Because, like you said, with the addition of Drummond, a guy that can not only play great defense and inside, he can score.
That was a steal of steals getting him.
And so when LeBron come back with his passing ability and how he sees the floor, oh man, it's gonna be a scary movie.
It's gonna be an easy day for Drummond. He never had a LeBron and the Davis on either side of him.
Exactly.
It's gonna be scary with the three of them.
You can't double team him.
Yeah. Think about if the Nets would have gotten Drummond and not Aldridge, they'd be feeling a lot better right now. They went after the wrong big guy.
Yeah.
You know, you wish Aldridge the best, but man, that's scary. That they thought the Nets could plug him right in. Boom, they just lost that. You know.
Yep.
I wonder what San Antonio knew with that one.
Yeah, you know Popovic. You know Pop. Listen, it's like it's almost like buying a car. Guy says, "Hey man, I you can have it, man." And you're like, "Man, it's too good to be true, man." Oh yeah, man. Man, go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. You know.
You got to know something was not right that he let him walk out there.
Yes, he didn't give not one fight for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he knew something. You know. But again, I
So who's going to get the Lakers? Who's going to be the pest for those Lakers? Is it going to be Portland? Going to be Phoenix? Utah? Any of them?
I think it's going to be Denver.
Even without Murray, huh?
Even without Murray, you got to respect your Joker. You got Joker's to me. That's the leading. To me, the Joker's the leading MVP candidate. If you be honest about it, you know. Again, but what I do want to bring up is the indictment that there's an indictment on somebody. That's Kawhi Leonard.
You haven't talked about the Clippers at all.
You had that team to auction off everything they got to bring Paul George over there. Paul George re-signed before the season started. Kawhi Leonard never re-signed with the team. He's a free agent when the season over.
We hope he comes to Miami.
But you see what he did? He had him give away everything to get Paul George. He doesn't re-sign with you. And he's playing every other night.
It'll probably be a short, quick, one and done playoffs for him. Jimmy Butler's been talking. They've been trying to recruit him to Miami. They think he'd fit in well there.
I don't think so, and I'm gonna tell you why. Pat Riley wants you to play every night.
Yeah, he won't put up with that.
Pat Riley is not with this load management.
Well,
Kawhi Leonard's playing one game every 4 games. Pat Riley's not signing on with that. I don't care who you. Pat Riley didn't sign on that with the big three in the prime of their careers.
no, he played him. He's like, I got you. You're gonna play.
He had Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh playing every night. So I know if he had the biggest guy in sports on his team and he had him playing every night, he's not finna take Kawhi Leonard in there to do what he's been doing. He has too much control in the clip time. Too much.
That's a scary thought.
Because the thing is, you blame Doc Rivers.
Yeah, the wrong guy got blamed.
Then you go get Rondo. Rondo can only play 15 minutes every night, double A. He can't play 40 minutes a night.
No, Rondo was playing with LeBron. Let's not ever forget that.
And he was only playing 15 minutes a night with LeBron. Spread it out throughout the game. Little stints here, little 5-minute stint, little 4-minute stint. But he wasn't logging a lot of numbers, and that's the problem in Clippers. They don't have a point guard. They need Rondo to play major minutes, so Rondo body can't handle that.
The Clippers are part of that play that they got to play themselves in, or they got enough games.
Oh no, the Clippers are. I think they're number 3 in the West right now. They're good.
Oh,
yeah, they're good.
They're in.
They're in.
I like that Utah team. I like something about them. They're deep, and every time I've watched them, it's like they're going to be a pain in the butt for anybody who's got to play them in a 5-7 game series.
Mm-hmm. The thing is about Mitchell. When does Donovan Mitchell comes back, and when he comes back, is he going to be the same? Is he going to rush back? Because when you're talking about that knee, you know how that can be. You can rush back, and then you actually tear the whole knee up for real. You know what I mean? Because the only thing really heals that is rest.
It's rest, yep.
And as you see, they're very tight-lipped about what it is that actually happened.
Maybe their new owner will suit up. D-Wade will come out. Put on the
Speaking of new ownership, why did you guys do Wade? Like, why Wade's get a team way out here in Utah, Mormon land, and you named your county after Wade? What's going on?
They traded Wade away, man. They let him walk out the door to Chicago. To this day, I never understood that move.
Did you see what Mickey Harrison said about that? He's like, when he issued that press release statement, he was like, I'm happy for him, but I really would the fact that we really want him to be here with us and have ownership here with us. He's a Heat. Wade is still pissed about that. I don't care what nobody says. Wade did not like the fact that he had to go to Chicago to get money.
Yeah. To this day, he don't forget it. And either that or Mickey Harrison don't want to sell another boat. He don't want to sell any part of his team. He don't need any other owners. Remember, Mickey don't have any minority ownership for anybody. He owns it all.
Right.
Here, MB's posting with that Paul George, David West, George Hill, Roy Hibbert.
That was nasty. Ooh, that was nasty.
David West, I forgot about him.
That was nasty.
Yeah, Hibbert was big. George, that was a bruising team. You don't want to face that in a 7-game series. You're going to be black and blue.
Right, and to me, that's what the Heat represents. A physical, because remember,
but the Heat don't have no size besides Butler and Bam.
But the thing is, they tough though.
Right.
And that was us. Udonis didn't have any size, but he was tough. He's hard nosed. He was only 6'5".
Udonis was a true 305, man. That was the best thing that ever happened to Shaq and D-Wade was Udonis.
But what I'm saying is Dirk was 7'1", Udonis was 6'5", and he beat Dirk up.
Yep.
So I'm saying it's the heart of a man, and that's what the Heat represents. Because yesterday that was a physical play that took Durant out that game. They challenged him. He went to the rim, remember, and got challenged at the rim and got hit in the leg. Because why? A guy was willing to throw his body in front of him.
And they didn't care that he was Kevin Durant.
Other teams would have let Durant dunk the ball. They'd have went on down the court. Miami's like, no.
No free dunk.
We're challenging everything. No layup rule. He got hurt. And to me, that's what to me that epitomizes the Miami Heat culture. And that's why I say they're going to be a tough out in the first round. And a team like Brooklyn does not want to see a Miami Heat team. I'll go on the record and say the Heat more physical than the Hurricanes. I just take a shot at you then.
Oh man! Listen, the sun's going to shine bright on that team one of these days. Whether it's this year, I have no idea. So I still go back to it. If you were Manny Diaz, who would you start? Would you start the senior quarterback coming off the ACL against Alabama?
Or no. Or I was actually, if I'm Manny Diaz, I'll be hoping. I would honestly be hoping my freshman is able to take on the offense of playbook, and hope that he's playing about even with the other guy. Because if they're even, I'm going with my true freshman.
Let him learn. Throw him right in the fire. He's had all spring and all fall to practice.
I'm a firm believer in recruiting, and what turns recruiting to your advantage is you playing young guys who do well. To me, that resonates more with kids in high school to see a team led by young guys versus to see a team led by older guys. Especially when you're trying to win a recruiting war, you're trying to turn a program around. I think they should be trying to lean toward the freshmen that they're bringing in at that quarterback position.
First game, can you imagine having a lineup across from Alabama on the other side?
Listen, I was just telling a friend of mine, Brandon Mayweather, you know him, played with the Hurricanes, played with New England. I was just telling him just today, I said, listen, man, it's going to be scary. I'm telling you. It's another recruiting thing by Nick Saban. Nick Saban is going to run the score, people. If he got a chance to make it ugly, it's going to be ugly.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. Because I saw the defense giving it up left and right in that little bit of that spring practice. I'm like, man, if that's not the way the D used to play in spring, the way I remember it.
And we have a lot of Florida. To be honest with you, Alabama is Florida North.
Yeah, we know that.
And those Florida kids, man, we got another Julio down there out of Valrico, Florida. You know where Valrico at? You ever heard of that?
No, where's that at?
That's near Citrus County, near on the other side of Ocala. Well, we got a kid there now. The freshman wide receiver, 6'3", 185. He was catching he was like Julio out there at A-Day. Once again, it's not going to be looking good.
Oh man, another one escaped the state, went to Alabama.
Hey, what's up with all these hurricane birthdays? Y'all shouting out over this thing, man.
It's MB's birthday today, so I know Klew's got his own celebration going, but we're also celebrating MB. So
yeah, I know. MB, how old are you today? 20. How old are you?
He's old.
Do you have an AARP card? Or can you live in one of those D communities? Are you old enough to be in those 55 and up communities yet? Where they say no kids? Those neighborhoods that said you can't have any kids in the neighborhood? The grumpy people?
I don't think he's there just yet, but he's close.
Is it one of those neighborhoods? A neighborhood full of Mr. Wilsons, just grumpy people, no kids allowed.
I don't think they'll let him in with 4 kids up into those 55 and older neighborhoods.
No, those neighborhoods, no, they say no kids allowed. It's just all grumpy people.
They got their golf carts. What can you do with them?
That's it. Golf carts and chihuahuas. That's it. That's all. That's the Villages.
The Villages is elite member. They lead the nation in STDs. They have a party in the Villages, man. Those old folks know how to get around.
They were probably fans of the Village people. That's another subject for another day.
Maybe in the 70s.
Right. YMCA. That's another. That's another
Exactly,
thing.
exactly. We heard
But
enough of that in the last year too.
for real. But
So
again, man, I'm definitely excited about this football season kicking off, man. This college football. I'm glad we was able to get past this COVID thing, get things back on as normal as possible,
yeah,
because it's gonna be some big things popping this season right here, man. I mean, especially when you look at Alabama plays Miami week 1. They play the Florida Gators week 3 in Gainesville. So I'm uber excited. You know what I mean? I'm uber excited to serve this stew.
did you
You know
did
what I
you
mean?
did you watch any of the Gators spring game? I haven't seen any highlights of that.
Ah, it was, again, they're starting over like you. They're starting over. No, quarterback, everything. They're starting over. Wide receivers, quarterback, running backs. The
how,
deep, they return a
how
lot of.
long before Dion comes and makes his way back to one of these programs?
I'm gonna tell you right now. And I've been seeing how much support Dion gets from a lot of Hurricane guys. Miami need to get Dion a job. I'm gonna say this here. If the Miami Hurricanes give Deion Sanders the job, they'll be in the national title game year 2.
That'd be crazy.
If Miami Hurricanes was to give Deion Sanders the job, his second year they will be playing for the national championship.
He and Ed Reed played in the same backfield together. We know that with Ray.
I'm just saying, he is everything the U needs. The swag, the Florida boy, the us against the world, all of that is Deion Sanders. You know, and that's why.
Why would FSU let him ever get away? Why would they? Why would they?
But well, again, let's be honest. I mean, FSU is being ran by some conservative boosters,
Right,
and board of governors.
right. So they won't put up for it.
And because no, it's not they won't put up for it. They want Deion to come kiss the ring. That ain't Deion.
He won't do it.
That ain't Deion. Because see, Deion's a made man. See, that's the thing that's so hard about hiring coaches like Deion, who are Hall of Famers. These guys they've been to the mountaintop and the Mount Rushmore of their sport. So they're not gonna come kiss the ring of boosters and border regions. They're not gonna do it.
So if Manny Diaz gets blown out in that week 1, and they start talking quick, because they start talking quick down in Miami.
The best thing could have happened to you was playing Alabama, and I'm gonna tell you why.
You'll find out where
because
they stand.
after week 1, the team is not going to recover. The team is going to lose the game, and they're going to lose the locker room, and they're going to lose morale. It's going to be a national, because this is the thing. See, this is the thing about games like that for any team. And I'm not just saying Alabama or Miami. Those kickoff classics, the build up, the hype, major networks, it's never good, Double A, for the losing team. Because all spring, you're singing that same song. Week 1. You better let them. Everything is focused toward week 1. That kickoff classic game. You're gonna go in Atlanta. All of the alumni is gonna be there. The Rays, the MBs, the Darren Smiths, the Jessies. They're gonna fly in Atlanta. It's the hangout. It's the hub. Edwin James, who owns like 3 clubs in Atlanta, he's gonna have all the boys there. You're gonna get Jamie German. You're gonna get all the fellas gonna be there. It's gonna be a reunion. Kane's gonna take over Atlanta. Okay? It's the Mecca. We're in Atlanta, baby. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna be a massacre. Okay? All the networks they're gonna hype it up, they're gonna show the smoke, all coming, but the team ain't the same.
I'm letting you go because I'm just hoping this is bulletin board material for this team for any of them that are listening.
But listen, this is the reality, because me and you both know that team that's not the listen. That ain't the same you.
I know.
They're not even sponsored by Nike no more. They wear Adidas. Who wears Adidas?
Hey, Run DMC wore Adidas, man. My Adidas.
Who wears Adidas? You know what I mean? So again, I'm telling you, It's gonna be a massacre. And I'm sure MB, we got one of the greatest shows, Sideline to Baseline, MB and Klew, and they're gonna have those Hurricanes on the show that week, and they're gonna get the hype going, to get the gravy train growing. But I'm telling you, all those guys got plastic on them. They're antique, like grandma's furniture.
It'd be nice to roll Edge out for a few games. I'm sure he's
Hey,
still got something left on them tires.
but it's again, it's just I just don't see that game really being close at all. I don't.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'd be really surprised if Miami's in there
But
after
the good thing about it, you lose Manny, go get Dion. Let's start the chant now.
That's what
I go on record right now and say, listen, MB, well, that's MB's friend. So I said, hey, you guys go. Manny is out of there. Go get Dion.
It's a
Miami
no-brainer.
Hurricanes need Dion. FSU Bobby Bowden alumni went and saved the program. And it wasn't a wide right.
It was the right choice.
It was the right choice. I'm telling you, that's who they need.
It'd be scary, that's for sure.
I told you, his second year there, y'all be playing for the Natty.
He would tear up the ACC
now,
with that team.
Me being a Bama fan, I hope you don't get him because I'll lose Florida.
What do you think Dabo will do if Dion goes to Miami? He'd be freaking.
Oh, Dabo's done. Dabo's on. Listen, Dabo's doggy pedaling right now. Quiet as kept, he is. He's doggy pedaling right now. Because guess who may win? Guess who I like winning the ACC this year?
Who's that?
1-800 Mac Brown.
They're always loaded with talent, so it's
1-800 Mac Brown.
Just call Mac.
That was a good team last year.
Yep.
Another year, season. I like all season. I like Mac Brown and the boys, man.
I think you heard it here. Pac Jam says, man, Mac Brown's gonna take the ACC.
Mac took him to the last play with this. Mac took him to the last play with the best quarterback in college football. Clemson had the best quarterback in college football.
So
Mac took him to the last play. So they say. Mac took him to the last play of the game.
That's an interesting call. I like it.
I like Mac Brown, man. That's another indictment too on Manny.
Oh, he tore Manny a new one last year. Made him look ugly.
Mac ain't been in the ACC. Mac has not been back in the ACC 30 minutes, man. And his program is better than yours already.
Yeah, I agree.
Mac went to Miami and they still they still got holes in the field, man. I ain't seen guys run the ball like that, man, since them boys down there at SMU, man. when they had
the Pony Express?
The Pony Express, man. Craig James and Eric Dickinson. I said, what? Do they still deliver the bell on the pony?
SMU got in trouble for that team, don't forget.
Hey. It was all legal because they was old enough. It was to me, it was all legal.
It was the 80s. What can you say?
Listen, and when you see the story on that, he said everybody offered his mama some money. So it wasn't like don't do that. You know what I mean?
We know.
He said it on I watched him on
30 for 30 they did on
right.
It.
Yeah. He said Oklahoma, Nebraska, everybody offered Cadillacs and everything. So don't even do that. He's like, don't come at SMU like that. Everybody did.
He wanted to go to school in Dallas.
You know what I'm saying? Bottom line is what it was. But the Pony Express, man, it was just when Carolina blue and white, man. Last time Jesus, man, I was like, I want them guys delivering my mail right there.
Well, I'll say this for Manny this year. He's got no excuse. He's back calling the plays on the D. So we'll see what he's all about. So. Why Ed Reed ain't coaching yet, I got no idea. But
that's always a save my job moment when you see a coach say, I'm calling the plays. I'm back. Give me the headset. The one that worked.
Not the one you're talking to yourself. Let me ask you this before we wrap up this hour. What do you think Bear Bryant would have thought of Saban wearing a pink suit like that?
You know what? I think he was laughing in his grave when he seen that there too. You know what I mean? I would have been like, he was like, well, man, well, God, Smiley, goddamn, God, man. Look at this here, man. This boy got on a pink suit. You know what I mean? Hey, man, I love it though. I love it. That was a Deion Sanders moment too. Let Deion know we dress better.
I can only imagine if Deion walked on that Miami sidelines, what he'd be styling with. So
absolutely. Hey, I enjoyed you, man. This was a great show today, man. I enjoyed you.
I'm happy we could fill in for Sideline to Baseline.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Congratulations to your brother, Klew. Hopefully, get some sleep in the next few weeks. And happy birthday, MB. Happy 40th. Even though it's probably your 50th. Right. Or somewhere a little bit north of that. If I do my math right, I haven't done it in a while. And till this coming Friday, I'm sure MB and Klew will be back. It's his Pac Jam and Double A saying peace.
Peace. We out.
We out.